Hello, my lovely listeners. I'm Dr. Mary Barson.
And I'm Dr. Lucy Burns. Welcome to this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss. Hello, my gorgeous friends. I am super excited. I'm always excited. Sometimes I feel like a little puppy. But I have another fabulous guest to introduce you today. Her name is Leah Williamson. She's been in the low carb community for a very long time, works as a nutritionist, and has a Instagram account called Nourishing Conversations, which already draws me in. I love the idea of nourishing. I love the idea of conversing. So I'm super thrilled to welcome her to the podcast today. Hi, Leah.
Hello, and thank you. I'm excited too. I'm like a little puppy as well.
I know. And it's so interesting because for me, like somebody said to me, do you ever get sick of talking about this stuff? And I go, no, I don't, because so often we just see people's lives changed simply by changing what they eat. And I just love that.
It is. It's so exciting to hear all the different stories of how people got to where they are. And that's in fact how I kind of started everything back in the day, was listening to people's stories. And I was like, we need to get a group together to get everyone together and share our stories of all these amazing journeys. Because back then when we first started, it was just like nothing around. No one had really heard of it. And we were like these strange people going to cafes and asking for long blacks, and then all of a sudden pulling all these weird things out of our handbags, like milk and, almond milk and strange things to put into our coffee. And people, and now look, you can get it anywhere. So, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And if you ask for, a hamburger with no bun, you're no longer stared at like you've got two heads.
That's right.
But two things I love about that. One is I love that you just brought up the idea of having community and connection, because I think you're right. It's really, really important. And it's certainly one of the things that we're really encouraging in the Low Carb Roadshow is to have connection and conversations. And it will be a conference where you're not going to just go there, sit in a row and not speak to anybody. So, if you're super shy, you don't have to worry. There'll be someone there who you'll be able to chat with. So I love that.
Yeah, come and talk to me. I love a chat anytime. That's why I'm Nourishing Conversations. And yeah, I will talk to you for as long as you want me to talk to. Maybe you might have to tell me to stop.
Oh, I know it. I love it. And I love that, and I love you, Leah, because you're so friggin' warm and friendly and, inclusive. And I think those sorts of qualities are really important. Because for sometimes people start this lifestyle and they get a bit worried and they get judged by other people in the community. So, what are some of the things that you would talk to people about if they say, oh, I don't know about this. Everyone tells me I'm going to kill myself by eating, chicken with the skin on it.
Yeah, well, I would probably tell people to really think about what it feels right to them and their own bio-individuality without worrying about what other people are saying. Obviously, you want to take some caution and do your research, but you want to test that on yourself and see how that feels. And I feel like I focus a lot on nutrient density rather than labeling anything. I do live in the low carb world. I live in the paleo world, the real food world, and keto world. And I am aware of the labels, and sometimes labels have a place and they're good, and it can help you to describe something much easier. But I like to describe the way that we eat in terms of nutrient density, because that can really take the diet dogma away from what you're doing and take that pressure off you. And if you're choosing nutrient dense foods that give life to every cell in your body, all those vital nutrients that the body needs to thrive and survive and have energy, then you will always be healthy, be well. And if you look at the foods that are nutrient dense, they're pretty much all low carb anyway.
Yeah, I love that. I do love that. And you're right. And I think that's part of the problem with labels. Like if people hear the label keto, they just think that people are like basically they're living on coffee with butter and bacon and eggs. And that's all you're doing. And obviously we know that there's a lot more to it than that. Well, there's a lot more and a lot less. Like it doesn't have to be hard, does it?
That's right. I'm all about simplicity as well. So not overcomplicating anything. And I do have a lot of clients that come to me who have been trying a ketogenic diet in terms of what they've seen on the internet or what they've seen other people doing. And it is coffee and butter in the morning or fasting until, midday or fasting for a couple of days, which is all fine when it works well for you. But if it's not working for you, it's not serving you, then why are you doing it that way? There's many other ways to come at this. And so I feel like just, getting those nutrient dense foods back into the diet, taking the dogma away from, having to have ketones, keto products, low carb products, just keep that simplicity. It's just, I like to often think about it. And here's a little secret that I like to tell people.
Oh, I love a secret.
Yeah, a little secret. If you just choose one protein for your plate, 2 to 3 veggies and 1 fat source, you've already got a nutrient dense low carb meal on your plate.
Indeed. You're right. And I always say to people, it's not your fault. We've outsourced our intuition. We've been following diet plans, meal plans, counting points, counting carbs, counting macros, to the point where we actually don't know what to eat anymore. And when you just come back to that simplicity, and then it does become easy.
And I do think that's because today we're in a world which is really absence of our food cultures and traditions in today's society. We live in a world that's full of convenience, which can be helpful in some terms, and I'm not discounting that, but then it can also be, not serving us in the best way in other terms as well. So if I'm always choosing frozen, some frozen food's good, but hyper palatable frozen pizza meals, all the time, and I'm not getting those lovely nutrient dense vegetables and meats and good quality fats in, I'm really not choosing the best foods for health. And then I'm bombarded with so many different things. So then I don't know where to turn. I'm like, one radio source is telling me this, one podcast is telling me this, one internet in line is telling me this. I don't know what to do. It's really hard to decipher through all the noise. An influencer's telling me to go this way. The kids are in the supermarket with you and they're telling you to pick these things off the shelf because it's got healthy written all over it. It's just really hard to decipher what works best in today's world. And I think that if we go back to food culture and looking at our traditions and the traditional way that we used to eat, the coming together to sit down as a family to eat, the cooking together, the cooking from scratch, the cooking of the real foods, spending that time. And it doesn't have to be laborsome. We can find quick and easy meals that way. I feel like if we return to some of those traditions, we'll be in a much better place for our health and for society in general as a community.
I could not agree more. And, it's so interesting. So we have a number of blogs, and the one that is clicked on the most or searched for is a blog we wrote called Is Up and Go Healthy. And, I both know that it's processed rubbish. But what's happened with Up and Go is that not only have we been convinced that we don't have time to cook a breakfast, we're also marketing. They're convincing us we don't even have time to eat it. So here's this product that you can just grab and go and eat it in the car or drink it while you're walking to the bus or whatever. And therefore you don't have to dedicate a single minute to this. And it's like, that comes at a huge price.
It does. Because where does digestion start really? Most people will say it's in the mouth, but it's not. It's actually in the brain. And it's when we start thinking, seeing, just, having that motion of like, what am I going to eat, or smelling that food, that's when our actual digestive system kicks in. And if we are in a sympathetic state, so we're in that fight or flight kind of state, and then we're downing and up and go through a straw, not even chewing our food, our whole digestive system hasn't kicked in. It hasn't started the process of digesting properly. And that's when we end up with dysfunction around, my stomach hurts, I can't eat this anymore because I feel like, for want of a better term, I've got leaky gut, I can't, eat these foods anymore that I once was able to eat. I'm allergic to everything. I can't go to the bathroom anymore because I'm so uptight and I can't relax that I can't pass the food through my body, which becomes quite toxic. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. And that's why I like to really reverse it back, go right back to the beginning. You think digestion starts in the brain. Think that first. Okay, so what do I need to do? I need to sit down and eat in a calm manner. That's all I need to do. Sit down.
Yeah, absolutely. People go, oh, well, that's obvious, but still lots of people don't do it. But there's actually also, science, which you've alluded to, but hormones that need to be activated, that need to make their way to different parts of our body, to different parts of our brain. Hormones are just messengers that they can tell our body what to do, when to do it.
Exactly. And then often we reject what's happening in our body. It's like, I'm constipated, or my stomach hurts all the time. I must be doing something wrong, And so with what's going on with all of that is, no, your body's actually working as expected. Your body loves you. It's always trying to bring you back to homeostasis. It's just trying to put you back into the correct state. So it's doing whatever it can with the resources that it has to keep you alive, basically. And sometimes that could be feeling like the body is rejecting you, but when it's not, it's actually trying to be helpful and save you, basically.
Yeah. Absolutely. We need to, and again, part of it, we don't know how to listen to our body.
That's right. There's a lot of simple things we can do to turn that noise off from outside, and it all just comes back to the simple traditions that we've seemed to have lost along the way, like sitting down and breathing to eat. Take a deep breath before you eat. Some people, if you're religious, some people like to say grace. We're not really religious in our household, but we will still can be thankful for the food that's being provided. You can be thankful for the person that provided the meal to you, rather than just shoveling the food into your mouth, because food is joy and it's love and it's memories, and it conjures up so many wonderful memories of the past and the future and the present, really. So why not enjoy that process? Why put things that are like cardboard with no nutrients into your mouth in a rush state while you're running around, when you could take the time to sit and enjoy and really love the food that you're about to eat?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think that sometimes people say to me, oh, but I love my food. And I go, yeah, me too. But what I do know is that if our diet has a lot of processed food in it, because processed food's hyperpalatable and upregulates all your dopamine receptors, processed food steals the joy of real food.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah. And so I go, wow, just ditch the processed stuff. Yes, my primitive brain, used to really love Maltesers and Tim Tams and really, Kingston's, any sugary stuff in particular. But now that I don't have it, I can actually taste all the other things that are in real food.
Exactly. Which makes, like, if you have a carrot, it makes the carrot taste sweet. And you can taste how it actually is meant to taste.
Only yesterday I was chopping an iceberg lettuce and I was having a little nibble as I'm chopping it. And iceberg lettuce is quite sweet once it's not competing with Mars bars.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I love it. So do you also help people, particularly those who are looking at, helping their family, feeding the family? Is that your jam?
Yeah, I do. Definitely. I say I'm an expert in feeding the family because I have 2 children myself. And I've managed to keep them alive into tween and teenagehood now. So they were really the reason why I started on this journey in order to help myself, but also in order to help my children. My son, when he was quite young, would have any piece of sugar and absolutely go crazy. So that's kind of like what sparked my journey along the way. And so I guess where I come in and help is I'll help the parents find what works best for them. So how to minimize stresses around meal times, how to minimize stresses of foods where maybe there might be an intolerance or something that they're eating that's not working or serving them for themselves and the children. And then how to take that information that they have and practically apply that so that they can live this lifestyle in a way that works best for them without having to worry about the noise around them and the pestering of the advertising and the influencers and everything like that. So I really find that nutrient-dense bio-individual approach that can then be applied and work for the family, because we see a lot of parents quite often go on this journey for themselves or for their children, but they'll tend to just like only feed themselves that food. And it's like, they're making one meal for themselves and they're making another meal for someone else and then another meal for We don't want that. We all want to be eating some food, and we all want to be enjoying the food that we're eating, and we want to minimize that time in the kitchen, but we still want to make it nutrient dense and as beautiful as we can.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. And, look, I think for some, particularly women, and I'm using myself as an example, I grew up with a mum who was very heavily influenced by diet culture, spent all her waking hours going to Weight Watchers and buying diet food. So she had her food, which was diet food, and we had the rest. And it's actually, you don't have to eat like that. You can all eat, for us, it's real food. So we love the LCRF acronym of low carb real food.
Yeah, I love that too.
Yeah, and everyone can do that. And if you want to add some real food carbohydrate sources to other people in your family, then you can do that. You're the bosses.
Definitely. And I think also too, it can be like the children can feel sometimes like maybe they're missing out, or, they're not like eating the same way as their friends are eating. And I know I went through a phase with my son who was very much like that. He was taking some tuna to school to eat, and the kids were like being mean to him about eating tuna. And I just said to him, we eat this way because it makes you feel good, it gives you energy, and we always have that discussion around it. If you don't want to eat that food, we can find something else that, isn't going to make you feel this way at school, or you can eat this food, which, makes you feel energetic and not sleepy and all of that. And so which would you like to choose? And he's like, well, I'll keep going with the tuna. I'm like, how about you just don't sit near that person that's being mean to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, and it means very early on, kids can learn that eating is not a team sport, that, just because one person's having tiny teddies and whatever those roll-up things are in their lunch, that, you don't have to, and you're not missing out.
That's right. My son actually, now he's in high school, makes hamburger patties, and he will get them in and make them into the patties himself, goes out onto the barbecue with his dad, barbecues the meat patties, makes up about 10, freezes them, and then each morning before school we'll defrost one, and he'll put a bit of cheese on it, and he's having salad with it or whatever, and has one of those every day. His open hamburger, he calls it. So
I love that. Yeah, I totally love that. I love that. So, Leah, you're speaking at the Low Carb Roadshow in Brisbane, which we are very excited to have, which is May 20. So for all of our lovely listeners who really want practical advice on how to implement a real food program into your family, make sure you hear Leah speaking. It's going to be powerhouse. She's not just food, like she's holistic. There's a whole holistic care to her way of helping people. So yeah, really, really excited to hear your talk, Leah.
Thank you. Yes, I'm excited to attend and see everyone. I'm looking forward to chatting with everybody as well.
Wonderful. So gorgeous peeps, if you want to connect with Leah, as I mentioned, you can follow her on Instagram at Nourishing Conversations. You can come to the Low Carb Roadshow where she'll be there and chatting and looking after you. So it'll be wonderful. All the links will be in the show notes. And I look forward to seeing all of you at Low Carb Roadshow, hopefully Brisbane, but any of the roadshows. And I will catch up with you all next week. Thanks so much for joining us, Leah.
Thanks for having me.
So, my lovely listeners, that ends this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss. I'm Dr. Lucy Burns.
And I'm Dr. Mary Barson. We're from Real Life Medicine. To contact us, please visit rlmedicine.com.
And until next time, thanks for listening. The information shared on the Real Health and Weight Loss podcast, including show notes and links, provides general information only. It is not a substitute, nor is it intended to provide individualized medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor can it be construed as such. Please consult your doctor for any medical concerns.